In the darkness of the endless nights, between the stars, I find my way, lost in space, far from home's embrace.
Thank you for joining us on the Downing Cut. Today we have a special guest who's been on the podcast before, and he's back to talk about his latest film, Missing Hearts. Please welcome writer and director Kit Wilson. How are you, Kit?
Great. Thank you very much for inviting me on.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here. And I know that last time we had spoken, you were in pre-production for Missing Hearts, and now you're wrapped up. You're ready to go out there and show it to the world.
Yep.
So let's dive in and talk about what is the log line of the film Missing Hearts, and what inspired you to tell this particular story, and is there any kind of relation to your own experiences?
Well, the log line is basically a female astronaut crash lands on a forgotten planet, and she encounters a robot that's been deserted for 250 years, and they both form a relationship while she waits for rescue. And the unique twists of a machine and a human interacting while they're both wondering if they're ever going to be rescued was kind of an interesting thread that I wanted to test out and see how it ended up. So, yeah.
And I know your past films, you've explored powerful female characters and going into different genres, and a lot of your genres have been kind of in the past. This one seems more futuristic.
Yep.
How did that come to play?
Well, if you look over my shoulder, there's a poster for the film, and I actually get a lot of inspiration for stories from paintings and illustrations. And I just happened to be, poking around on Pinterest and saw an image of a female astronaut. And then later on, I poked around and found an image of a robot. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if they both were stranded on a planet by themselves, waiting to be rescued? And what would they do with their time while they were waiting?
That's how ideas come up. You just start going exploring.
Exactly.
So we have a clip to show the audience. Tell us about, without giving anything away, what are we going to be looking at? What do we need to focus on in this?
Well, the female astronaut is just trying to get rescued, and then she happens to discover this robot that's living in this kind of abandoned hut, and the two are kind of feeling each other out. So a sandstorm comes up, and they have to take shelter because the sandstorms on this planet are poisonous. So they have to seek shelter, and once they seek shelter, it's kind of like this feeling out period of, what's to expect from each other and how are they going to continue to communicate. So that's kind of the lead in.
How long do these usually last?
Sometimes as long as a week.
Crap, I hope there is no interference with my comm device.
There won't be any way to communicate until after the storm passes.
So much for my happy birthday.
How nice. Let me be the first to congratulate you.
I love the sound. I mean, it really, I feel like you're taken on the planet. You can hear the atmosphere, the quality of it. The look of the set looks amazing.
Thanks.
Where did you film this at, and what were the locations that you hit?
Well, originally, we were going to shoot in Tacoma at a kind of a semi-available vacant church, but we actually wound up at Harbor Island Studios in Seattle, which was a way much better environment to shoot in. And they opened up the facility with open arms, and we were in there for 4 days, and 2 days just to build set and 3 days to shoot. So we had a great team from Olympia joining with forces from Seattle and Tacoma to build the set. And they did an amazing job. I mean, I just basically stood back and watched them go to town. And fortunately, Harbor Island has a lot of remnant material left over from other sets. So we were kind of able to cannibalize a little bit here, a little bit there, and that saved us a lot of time in terms of getting things put together. And then the team just, started painting and airbrushing and doing all they could. And lo and behold, we had a great place for our talent to step into and perform.
That always helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, most of my projects all have been shot in Airbnbs and in places where they had kind of a vintage look and there wasn't any problem about sets. We just had to handle costumes and stuff. But here we had to literally build a set from the ground up and hopefully it convinced people that it was where it was. Yeah.
How did you pick your cinematographer and sound design and editing when it comes to the story's emotions and bringing everything to life?
Well, I'd up until about 2-3 years ago, I'd been working with the DP Dave Patterson, who did most of my post-production as well. He did color, he did sound, he did VFX, but he moved to East Coast, so I had to start from scratch. So I was working with Eric Biss, who is in Seattle, and he worked on Taxi Ride, Drips, and then this film with me. And fortunately, we were able to use Michael Newman from Olympia as a second shooter, and then Eric brought in a third shooter. So we literally were shooting, for a day or so with 3 cameras, which was a real pleasure because you get things done quickly. You move on. You don't have to go through all the setups and stuff. It really drags your time down. So it was a pleasure to see that happen. And then as far as sound goes, I had a composer that I've used who lives in LA and Mercer Island, the kind of divides of his time. And he's also the composer over there at Ben Royal Hall for concerts. And so he did my music score and the sound design. So that was great to have him plugged in.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow, that's true professionals there.
Yeah, and I must say that the beauty of working with Andrew, my composer, is that this was the 13th film he had scored. So he just went at it one time and asked me to run it by, and he hit the money right on the first try. So it was great.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Now we know that this is a short film, correct?
21 minutes.
So we know short films often require telling a powerful story in a limited time. What was the biggest challenge in balancing the depth and brevity? And was there anything that you had to cut that you wish you could have kept in there?
Well, we initially had planned to shoot outdoors as well on location over in eastern Washington, south of Ellensburg. There's a place called Vantage Dunes Park. And but we were waiting for the weather to cool down, so you kind of had to balance that out. We wound up getting all the principal photography done in Harbor Islands, and then we had to wait a good 2 weeks to go out to Ellensburg and shoot the exterior sand dunes. But fortunately, the timing was right because it was cooling down. It wasn't so hot, and I wasn't sure. They've got these off-road people that like to populate those parks, and so you got to work around their machines and their sound and stuff. But so I wasn't sure how valuable the footage was that we got. But once we got them back to Seattle and we started editing it, we actually worked in some exteriors that look really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were sand dunes over there.
Yeah.
Go check that out. Now, what do you hope that audiences take away from Missing Hearts? Is there a particular feeling or question or realization you want them to sit with after?
Yeah, when I wrote the script, I was thinking in the back of my head, I don't want this to be a Star Wars epic. I don't want, all kinds of bells and whistles and people, looking at it saying, well, this doesn't quite measure up to Dune or it doesn't quite measure up to Star Wars. No. This is a whole different thing. And the best thing I say is that it's kind of like Twilight Zone meets David Lynch. And I was hoping that the relationship between the robot and the female astronaut would be the main thing, and just so happened that it was taking place on a forgotten planet. So the music I use is not your typical science fiction music, and as you go through the story and the characters interact, it's not your usual hard hitting science fiction impacting story. It's a lot more nuanced, really.
Interesting. And you're doing something unusual. I think most people who have a film in the film festival circuit will advertise which film festival to go to see your film. And then the majority of people will have a private screening for the cast and crew. Now you're opening this up to the public. And we know we have the dates. It's Wednesday, February 12th at Tacoma's Blue House Theater at 6 p.m. for the cast and crew and open to the public. and there's going to be a Q&A session afterwards.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah. Thank you. I've over the years, this is my 13th film. I've tried to screen an open screening for Washington State film aficionados to go and see, because so often it's not. They're tagged into a bigger festival, and they've got to go buy tickets and look for parking, and it just becomes a big uphill climb just to see the film. And I want to make it as easy as possible. I definitely want to reward my cast and crew and their families to see it. And then anybody that's interested in seeing it before it hits the festival, it's already been sent out to 2 film festivals in Germany, 1 in France, and 1 in Hollywood. So it's going to be up on screens elsewhere. So really, if they want to jump onto it now, now's the time.
We thank you very much for coming on the Downing Cut. What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and also LinkedIn. So if they want to reach out, and I'm more than happy to network with Washington State filmmakers and people that are interested in film, because there isn't a real film industry like there is in California or Vancouver or even Portland. So I think it's really important that us independents, stand shoulder to shoulder and help each other out. And I want to make a big shout out to my sponsor. This is the first film I've ever done with complete sponsorship. And we've got 7 sponsors that have made sure that the funding's been there. We've been able to create what we wanted to create. And they're on board for doing other projects as well. So I think that's kind of an exciting premise that people that are interested in the arts in Washington State can actually support independent film, and we don't have to go outside and
That's awesome. Well, I hope the ball keeps going.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Kit.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
All right.
See you later.
Good. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Downing Cut. I appreciate you joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a comment with your thoughts and share questions you think I should be asking the guests. Your feedback helps shape the podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next episode.